Today we have a special treat. We have Alex with us today, and we're very excited to hear her story.
I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. So, before we get into long COVID, what was your life like before long COVID?
Well, I was very busy. I worked many hours. I was like one of those people who was always at work,
Yeah.
or I was taking care of kids. Yeah, I was kind of one of those workaholic types.
And what was your acute infection like?
So it felt like flu. We got it in February 2020 when COVID was not supposed to be here. And my husband got it the worst. My daughter just was really lethargic and laid in bed for a few days and had a mild fever. And I got what I usually get when I get the flu, which is I get some bone pain. And I don't throw up or anything. I just get bone pain for a few days. And my husband was, the one we were most worried about because he was in the bathroom throwing up, and he hasn't done that since Christmas of 2002. So
Wow. Wow. So, actual infection was pretty normal as far as the flu type infections go. And then when did you first notice that something was a little off, like you weren't getting better or, that sort of thing?
so that was kind of I mean, it's like, so I am looking back at everything that happened because, it's like everything I see is about, hey, you got this and you've never gotten rid of it. And it's not, you knew when you got it. And then, and in my situation, it was not like that. I was actually, very health conscious. I drank smoothies. I tried to eat well, but my irises started changing color. They started getting lighter. And I thought it was because I was actually doing well with my diet. And looked online and I found YouTube, people about, hey, my eyes turned from brown to blue. And that's because I've been eating fruit all the time and I'm like, purging all of the toxins out of my body. So I thought I was doing well. And then May 27th of 2020,
Mhm.
when I realized that I just had a funny breath and they were continuing periodically and they were getting closer together and they weren't anything I recognized. I've had some exposure to weird things because I used to be NCOIC CBRN in a military unit. That's basically you're in charge of things that you get when you get into a bath theater and, from chemical, biological, nuclear, or radioactive. And so I didn't recognize any of this. And it's just like, okay, something's wrong. Like something's different.
Yeah. So the symptom was the breathlessness.
It was that I was getting these funny breaths more frequently and that they didn't match anything that I knew. I had my irises were losing color and,
Yeah.
just this odd way. And I would drink smoothies. And before I would feel better. I mean, it wasn't, it was like you get all of these vitamins from smoothies that you don't get from normal food. You can go and get a burger. It's not the same as drinking a smoothie. So I was just kind of, okay, wait a minute, something's different. I went home and I told my husband, and he's just like, Alex, that doesn't make any sense. But then that's when I started you know, I started being the crazy one because I knew something was different and
Hmm.
I couldn't prove it.
So what did you do?
Well, the first thing I did was I joined a long haulers forum,
Mhm.
see if anybody else's symptoms started matching mine or if I could, identify anything. And, I started feeling like the seams of my clothing were driving me nuts, and they never done that before. And it was like I just wanted to be naked, and I couldn't do that. But it's like the seams on my clothes would make me cry. They were so painful, and I mean, just putting on clothes was painful. And so finally, I just started experimenting, going, okay, what's something's going on? What's going on?
Mhm.
And I started just looking at everything, listening, and then looking at what people were staying on the long haulers forum, and they were having all of these blood tests done and their doctors were ignoring them and the doctors were coming up empty handed. And the only thing I saw was some of them had low phosphate levels and some of them were even diagnosed as with hypophosphatemia. And that's something that I remember seeing in malnutrition. And it's just like malnutrition. And, and all these people were still eating healthy and they were, but I also remembered, hey, my smoothies didn't help and they always help. I always see benefits from my smoothies. I hate them. I mean, I hate the green smoothies, but I always see benefits. And this time I hadn't. And so what was going on? And then I started like switching everything over to sublingual, and that helped. And so that's how I got to the point where I'm like, okay, something's really wrong with my digestive system. So I'm going to go sublingual, bioavailable. And I started doing research that way.
So your story is a little different because you didn't go to someone and someone said you have long COVID. You kind of found out you had long COVID by doing the research and then tried to resolve your symptoms just by researching.
Yeah, long COVID didn't become a term until months after
Right.
I was showing symptoms. I mean,
Sure.
I was trying to keep abreast of like what was going on, and everybody was getting told that they were, they were crazy or they're like making stuff up. And it's just like, no, I'm telling you, this is not made up. Something's going on. And the thing of it is that, nobody could find anything in the blood tests. And so there was no reason to go to a doctor because that's how they determine things as blood tests. And, for the most part, it makes sense. But in this case, it just didn't.
So you started doing folate, I imagine, and did it help?
Doing what?
Taking folate?
No, I never took folate. I took a multivitamin that was dissolved in my mouth. And then I also took a multivitamin that was liquid. And I also started doing bioavailable foods, which took a bit of research. But I think one of the first things I noticed was that Vegemite, which is just, this thing that Americans don't eat, but it's something that Australians eat. It's the byproduct, and it's got a bunch of B vitamins, and it's sold, and they use it as a sandwich spread. And that is something that's actually bioavailable. The nutrients go through the mucous membranes of your mouth. And so we started doing that, and I sent some to my mother. And as long as she was taking it, she was alive. Since she stopped eating it, she actually passed in like 3 days. So it's kind of I think I'm on the right track, but it was kind of a crazy way to get there.
Did it so it eventually did the symptoms resolve?
For me, okay, so I had a lot of symptoms. Okay, so all of the symptoms that people have are varying in strength and and they vary. I mean, one of the hardest parts about long COVID is that nobody has the same symptoms that have one solution. And I got as far as, so in June of 2020, I had my diaphragm stop working properly. It's like I had night terrors, couldn't go to sleep, wasn't constant pain. There's just like, if you read the medical reports from like emergency rooms from like June 2020, I pretty much had all of those. But the thing of it is that, so every time something would come up, I would just take the perspective, okay, something's not getting through. That's a military perspective of like, from bioweaponry. And then I would try to find something that didn't use the digestive system to compensate.
Cool. So do you feel like like that pretty much resolved everything, or do you still sometimes get it, or?
So the thing of it is I took a lot of damage. It was like to the point where at one point I had the end of May when I noticed the breathing issue.
Yeah.
Driving home, and all of a sudden everything went quiet. And I'm just like, did I just hit Zen? I was just like, is this what Zen is like? And I didn't think much about it. But I got home and I, just kind of went on with my life. When my parents died in 2020 and 2021, part of me was worried about like what happened to them after they passed. And I started doing some research on NDEs and like the hospice workers. I'm talking about how they're taking care of like the patients and what the patients see. And a couple of the people mentioned that suddenly everything went quiet. And then, then they were revived. And so I was like, wait a minute, did my heart stop for a few seconds? And that's the only thing I can think of is that. So it was just wait a minute. So I actually died at one point. If it's true, I mean, it's like I don't have anybody to say to verify that, mind you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, and then I will say though that it's like okay, over the just adding the supplements in a way that could reach where they were supposed to go definitely reduced the symptoms. I mean, it's like I went from, these night terrors to being able to have it come down a bit. Thank goodness. That was pretty easy while. And then I had to take extra supplements in order to think straight and have enough cognition to work. And I would notice when I was running out of whatever stored nutrients I had because I would just kind of collapse. I mean, it's just like I didn't take enough supplements with me to my youngest daughter's high school graduation. And it's not something you can see in the middle of the ceremony. But I'm so embarrassed that it's like I became the focus of my daughter's high school graduation after, it's like here she's graduating from high school, a once in a lifetime, thing for her. And then the focus goes on me because I can't get out of the chair. So I mean, we got it fixed because I got some more thiamine and we got some carbohydrates to go with it. And that's what, in the body, physiologically, thiamine and carbohydrates are like the beginning point of energy production in the body. And I need to do that. But yeah, I had to apologize a great deal. It was so embarrassing.
Sounds like that was really challenging to go through that with your daughter graduating. So do you have any tips or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think when I was looking for how could I get Western medicine to be able to ascertain that I have a problem with my digestion, I didn't see anything that made sense. I mean, it was just like, you have to go off of the supplements to prove that you have a problem, or you get a biopsy. And I couldn't find anything that said how they would be able to tell from the biopsy which nutrients weren't getting through, or even if that part of your intestine would grow back. And so the thing of it is that there's a few things that I've found actually were severely damaged. Like I have to apply some things topically because they're not getting through. Not even when I take them in large doses orally. Anybody can go and see if there's an effect, if their digestion has been compromised by just taking like a liquid vitamin, like Mary Ruth's morning essentials, I think the name is, and take it like in a small dose because your body just goes nuts if it hasn't seen something that it needs. And you really need to like be careful that you don't do something dangerous. But if you take like something that will go through the mucous membranes of your mouth, and you can feel the difference. And one thing that I did that convinced me was I switched to what's recommended for people who've had gastric surgery. And I was in bed days. And instead of, pretty much normal life. So, the brand Easy Melts multivitamin is in your mouth and it can get through. Mary Ruth's Morning Essentials is a liquid and it also gets through. And then contact me if you want more information. I have recipes of the bioavailable foods that I found and how to do it. And, I just don't want anybody else suffering like I have.
Yeah. It seems like everybody has a different story, but we all have these crazy symptoms. We feel like we're going crazy. We're treated like we're crazy. And then all of us have tried different things to see what works because we're not getting anything from modern medicine. The few that are, I mean, it's so hard to get into the clinic and have like a long COVID clinic and have them say that you've long COVID and like you need a PCR test and all. And as for people like yourself, when you got it, it was so early that they probably didn't even have the test at that point. There's just so much of this that I keep seeing. So we're just left to our own devices to try to figure out what to do to try to get through it. So it's very courageous of you to just try to figure it out and like just keep trying even when you're having setbacks and everything like that.
It's the thing of it is that I have something that you can try. I mean, you can figure out if you have it at home, though. I mean, it's like if I don't do bioavailable, I get set back. Like, I mean, it's like if I have to use my digestive system, the nutrients don't get through. And it's pretty easy to figure that out within a very short time.
Yeah.
So if anybody finds that that's the cause of theirs, then just,
Do you have, just before we close, any other tips or tricks or any take-home pearls that you want to tell other long haulers before we sign out?
if you end up finding that you need to do the bioavailable route to get nutrition, there's not many commercial products that are available. So the website, patreon.com, Crazy Nerdy Girls Approach to Healing, is where I come up with the research. And I try to like log at least once a month the research that I've come up with. Right now, I found that I couldn't get through a weekend when my sister retired. And so I'm working on air safe travel food so that no scariness happened again. But I mean, you guys, like I post the recipes. It doesn't happen very often because it just takes time to research and like get these prepared. Yeah, the latest one I have is cream of tomato soup, and it's like it's just such a comfort food for me. So I'm working on making sure that I can write it down and share it. So, but I've come a long ways. I am healing, and I'd like to share that with everyone, how to heal, because your body knows how to heal if it has everything that it needs to heal.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you for being on the episode. I think I'll make sure that we put your stuff in the description of the episode so that way people can reach out to you if they would like to. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for being on the episode today. Okay. Thanks very much. And we'll talk again real soon. Yeah. Take care. Bye.